welcome back to the Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back with another See You Next Tuesday. This is episode 14 now. We're closing on that magic 20 number. We've run out of names to put in here, actually, so we had to dig through the memory banks and think, who is a See You Next Tuesday? Who is a horror from Newcastle United's vault of past misfortunes? And one name flew out to me and Mark. Mark in particular wanted to talk about this player. Who it was a horror, let's be honest with you, probably goes down as one of the worst signings Newcastle United have ever made in their entire history. And surprisingly enough, it was made by Ruud Gullit, who has made this list already, who is a pretty shit Newcastle United manager. Who am I talking about? Yes, you guessed it. It's the man with the felt finger himself. It's Marcelino, the centre-half, the big, burly, 6'2" Spanish centre-half that didn't play because he hurt his finger. That's the one. So we signed this guy for 5.8 million quid from Real Mallorca. And he came with a good pedigree, but he came with a good reputation. Real Mallorca just got to the final of what was the Cup Winners' Cup, European Cup Winners' Cup then. They finished third in La Liga. And he was on the cusp of the Spanish team, to be fair. So, you know, he was every inch what you thought would have been a really good centre-half. And he was a big plan in Hullit's cog of how to play. You know, I think I've talked before about a funny video when Steve Howie it said that what Hullit wanted them to do was get the ball down and play, and he got a pass drilled him for 40 yards, killed it with his chest and spread the play. And Howie looked at him and said, well, you're fucking Ruud Gullit, you can do that, we can't do that. Maybe you should have played the centre-half yourself, Ruud. It might have been a better choice than Marcelino. So this shithouse was at Newcastle United from the years 1999 to 2003. And guess how many appearances this big sack of shite made? 17. That's right, 1-7. That is atrocious. That's an even worse injury record than Michael Owen. Disgraceful. So he definitely goes down as one of the worst signings that we've ever made. Funny enough, he still has quite a strong affection for the club. I don't know why, because a lot of Newcastle fans think he was fucking terrible. But apparently Rafa Benitez called him to check places to live when he was taking the Newcastle job. So, he's very big on telling everybody he was one of the first Spanish players to play in the Premier League. So he feels a real sense of pride from that regard. But, not good at all, really. I mean, he had every injury going. He had injuries that he didn't even know existed. You know, it was thigh strain here and an ankle turn there and everything else. And every time he looked like he was going to play a game, he was injured again. He was injured again. He was injured again. You were thinking, fucking hell. I mean, could you imagine this guy in training with Shearer and Ferguson on the training pitch, clattered all over the place as well, probably. So maybe that's why he got injured all the time, because he was such a fanny, trying to mark one of those two monsters up front, possibly. But the biggest joke was the finger. The biggest joke was the finger. Apparently he was past unfit to play because his finger looked like a burnt little sausage, believe it or not. That's the description that was made for how dangerously injured Marcelino's finger was. Now, I couldn't get my head around this at the time when it happened. I do remember it, because I do remember looking and thinking, what the fuck is going on with this guy? A finger, he's taking a piss. And what was even worse was there was players playing in the Premier League the same week or the week after his injury had been announced with big casts on their hands. You know, the hands all wrapped up, they broke their wrist or whatever it was, and they were playing games. You know, Cantona played with a cast. I'm sure like Robbie Fowler played with a cast, I think. Loads of players played with like a cast in the hand. You probably couldn't do it now because you smash somebody in the mouth and get sent off, etc., etc. But yeah, Marcelino, injured finger, just the kind of tip of the iceberg, really, is just a dreadful, weak, fanny pad of a player. No offense to anybody there, but that's exactly what he was. He was fucking terrible. You know, for a big 6'2" centre-half, you would have thought somebody would be harder than that, but he was absolute powder puff. He was rotting in the reserves for a bit. He was moaning about how he just wants to play, is what he said. I just want to play. But then he was moaning about how, you know, the reserve team coaches didn't quite understand his fitness and all this shit. And just an awful signing all around, really. The kind of sign you dread your football club making. Thankfully, we're in a great position to not make bad signings like this anymore. And we will definitely be looking to sign a lot better players moving forward, and players that can actually play more than 17 games over a case of a 4-year period. Good God, awful. Let's hope those days are firmly behind Newcastle United. But let us know in the comments below what you think about Marcelino, whether he deserves his place on the See You Next Tuesday list. I think just for being such a crap signing, he's got to be up there in the top 5 worst signings I think the club's ever made. Really has to be. So for that reason alone, he makes this list. But let us know if you disagree. We always like to hear from you. And if you haven't already, please click subscribe. I'd love you to come and join us. We're on 3,950 subs now, so we're closing in on that magic 4K number for the start of the season. Help us get there, guys. Smash that button. Like the video as well. Help get it around the YouTube. Help the channel grow. We're going to be back with another one of these just to get that magic 20 number. Then we'll be done, and we're going to flip the script and do a positive past Newcastle United videos. So keep an eye out for that on the channel as well. But until then, this is me done, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.